and welcome back to the next episode of this Healthy Life podcast. I'm very excited for my guest today. I have Nicole Ritter, and Nicole is a board-certified holistic practitioner. She is an FDNP and nutritionist, and she specializes in helping people overcome Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, which is such a huge, under-talked about topic. I think so many people are struggling with their thyroid, so really excited for you to be here today, share some of your knowledge, share some of the root causes that may be affecting people's thyroids, and yeah, just great topic to have you here. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So I'd love to start with a little bit of an introduction about yourself, some of your background, and how you got into the thyroid space.
Yes. So I grew up pretty sick, not when I was really little, but like in my teens and 20s, I started to have anxiety, depression, PCOS, some hormone issues, migraine, sinus infections, and I had a lot of doctors at my disposal. My dad's a doctor, my grandparents were doctors, my mom's a therapist, and I had a ton of faith in the medical industry in general. You know, they knew everything and I did what they told me. So I didn't, that I know of, suffer from thyroid issues in like my younger years, but I don't know because I was never tested. No one ever tested my TSH. No tests were ever done besides like a CAT scan and MRIs because I had really bad headaches and migraines. But I ended up living in a house with black mold, got really sick, removed myself from that environment. And I found a podcast. This is why I love podcasts so much, because one podcast changed my entire life and my entire career. And in turn, we've worked with over 500 women. So that's, one podcast changed hundreds of lives. Mm-hmm. And I got into the thyroid space because everyone has a thyroid unless it's been removed or you took radioactive iodine. And every single cell in your body has a receptor site for thyroid hormone. So when I was building my business, I was just working with everyone, and I want to help everyone. But I have found that when you focus on one thing, you can help more people. Mm-hmm. Every single business coach will tell you that too. Mm-hmm. So I took an inventory of our clients. I looked at the 500, I think it's like 505 clients we've worked with over the past 6 years. Almost every single one of them had some type of thyroid dysfunction, whether that be elevated TSH. Not everyone is diagnosed with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, but almost all of them had some type of thyroid dysfunction, which impacted every single system in their body. And it they had a wide range of symptoms. Mm-hmm. So that's really what made us niche down. And expert is such a weird word because I'm learning every single day, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're researching every single day. There's so much research and new research coming out. Mm-hmm. So yes, while I'd like to think myself of an expert, I'm still learning, but we're definitely my team and I are really good at getting to the root causes of thyroid dysfunction and figuring out what's actually causing your body to be out of balance and then helping you get back to balance.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So let's just kind of break it down for listeners. We're throwing out words like Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. Can you kind of break down what the difference is between the two and what similarities they have so that people out there can understand the difference?
Yeah. So hypothyroidism is very common. People know what that is because it's elevated TSH. So if you go to the doctor with cold hands and feet, weight gain, inability to lose weight, sluggishness, brain fog, dry skin, dry hairs, brittle nails, they may run a thyroid panel, and a standard thyroid panel usually just tests for TSH. So in the medical literature to get diagnosed with hypothyroidism, it's a TSH of above 4.5. So that's thyroid stimulating hormone, which is actually a pituitary hormone. Mm-hmm. So that's hypothyroidism. I disagree on the standard. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but that's what it is. Hashimoto's is when you have TPO antibodies or TGAB antibodies. So that's thyroid peroxidase or thyroglobulin antibodies. So what that means is your body's actually attacking your thyroid. So I think it's 80% of hypothyroidism is actually caused by Hashimoto's. Mm-hmm. So one can cause the other, right? Hashimoto's can cause hypothyroidism, not in all cases, but most of the time people have they have hypothyroidism and they don't know they have Hashimoto's. Mm-hmm. And that's because there's no medical treatment for Hashimoto's. There's no medicine. There's no pill for the ill, right? There's nothing in like, I think it's what the Merck manual that says, like, if you have Hashimoto's, give this pill. So that's why doctors, traditionally don't test for it, but we think it's so important because it's a completely different treatment plan if you have an autoimmune disease versus just a sluggish thyroid.
Absolutely. And so let's break down some of that testing. I've heard from so many people, when they describe some of these symptoms, right? Like the thyroid is always kind of one of the first things that you want to check out. It's so easy for that to get out of balance. And people will be like, they checked my thyroids. My labs are perfect. And a lot of times doctors are only running TSH. They're not running some of these other numbers like the free T3 or is it free T4 and all the other ones, right? And the TPO and all the other antibodies. So what's kind of a proper panel that people should be asking their doctor for if they want to fully get a full picture of what's going on with their thyroid?
I have a cheat sheet that I will send to you so you can link it in the show notes, but it's TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3 is really important, which I'll explain later. Well, I'll just explain it now. So reverse T3 is inactive and it also is elevated when there's chronic stress or inflammation. So that's really important to know because to figure out what's causing your hypothyroidism, if you just test TSH, you're missing that important information of the reverse T3 to know if you need to deal with chronic stress, trauma, or inflammation. Or chronic illness in general can cause reverse T3 to be elevated. Reverse T3, thyroglobulin, so TGB and TPO antibodies. And that's a pretty good that's like the full thyroid panel that you want to order.
Okay.
There's so many other. The full blood panel, iron. We like to see ferritin, but if you're just looking for thyroid to see if you have Hashimoto's or hypothyroid, then definitely just ask for thyroid antibodies.
Okay. And then what exactly does T4 and free T3 or all the T3s, like what are those different hormones and what is that on the labs and what does that represent?
Okay, I'm going to get a little scientific because I think this is really important to understand. Yeah. So your thyroid is right here and it's on your neck. It's on the base of your neck. In order to work, your hypothalamus and your pituitary have to signal. So what happens is something happens that signals your hypothalamus to release a hormone that sends the pituitary. The pituitary then signals the thyroid to release TSH. So, if you're chronically stressed or if your brain's inflamed or something, that's not going to work right or work well. So about 90%. Okay, so then I get too excited when I talk about this. So the thyroid then stimulates, the pituitary glands releases TSH, which stimulates, it's thyroid stimulating hormone, stimulates the thyroid to release T4 and T3. T4 is relatively inactive. So over 90% of the hormone that is produced from the thyroid is T4. T3, I think it's about 3%, which is active thyroid hormone is produced from the thyroid. So the body then has to go through this chemical dance of converting T4 to active T3. The majority of that happens in the liver. The liver is one of the most important organs we have. It's our, organ. It's a detox organ. There's some people that say, oh, it's working. We detox on our own, whatever. Like it's supposed to work. But there's so many chemicals, man-made chemicals, hundreds of thousands of man-made chemicals that are in our environment now that weren't here even 50 years ago. So the liver is just overburdened. We have, I'm not going to curse. I was going to say CRA. We have like not good food that we're eating. That's just like, making our livers sluggish. So that not only affects our body's ability to detox, but it affects our body's ability to convert T4 into the active T3. So this is why it's so important to really look at the whole picture and find out your root causes. Because if you get diagnosed with hypothyroid and you're given a thyroid medication, if your liver is sluggish, most of the thyroid medication on the market is T4. It still has to be converted to T3. And most of the time, doctors are only measuring TSH and T4. So your TSH and T4 are going to look perfect, right? Oh, your labs look amazing. I have no clue why you feel horrible and can't get out of bed and you're fatigued and you're gaining weight. Well, it's because the active thyroid hormone, T3, is probably really low and your reverse T3 is probably really high.
Yeah, that's exactly what was happening to me when I first kind of started having thyroid issues. I'd be put on these medications, mostly T4 medications to start, and then even some desiccated thyroid. And I was just like, nothing's working. I'm still gaining weight. Like, I'm tired all the time. My skin's dry, like all these things. And it wasn't until I saw someone that really kind of understood, Hashimoto's and doing the right testing that my reverse T3, just like you said, was super high. That was causing me like inability to lose a lot of weight and just kind of get my energy back. And then, like you have to rely on your body to be strong and healthy enough to put energy into converting that T4 into T3, right, which mine wasn't doing. So I ended up being put on T3 only. And that changed my life. Like, that gave me so much more energy. And like, I started losing weight and just feeling better. Like, my brain started working better. So I'd love for you to break down the different kind of medications, because I mean, right now, aside from like diet and lifestyle and, managing inflammation and maybe supporting the liver, giving someone thyroid medication is really kind of the only treatment, if you will, that we have for it right now, right? So what are those different medications that are available, and what are kind of pros and cons to each of those medications?
So I can't prescribe medication. I'm definitely the worst person to ask about medication. The most common are levothyroxine and Synthroid, and then I know there are T3 medications. I don't have enough knowledge on medication to go into that, but I will say if you need medication, take medication. I am not, just because I work in holistic health and functional medicine, I'm not anti-medication. I'm not anti-doctors. I'm going through my own health thing, very unrelated to thyroid, but I had to get, help from doctors. They're there for a reason, but I think my job is to educate people beyond that, right? Like, yes, you should, if you need medication, take the medication, make sure it's working, work with your doctor or pharmacist to get on something that's right for you while you work on these other things. Another thing really important, off topic, but kind of on topic, it's really important to note that about 20% of T4 gets converted to T3 in the gut. So most of it's in the liver, about 80%, and then 20%, no, not 80%. I don't know how many in the liver, but the leftover.
Majority in the liver.
Majority in the liver. I don't want to say the wrong statistic. Majority in the liver, and then the rest in the gut. And if we don't have good gut bacteria, if we have H. pylori, if we have candida, if we have mold, our body can't do its job. So really just listen to your body. If you still are on medication and you don't feel well and your doctor's not listening to you, go to a different doctor. There's so many endocrinologists that, just find someone who will listen to you. When I was going through my health journey, I went through so many different doctors, and then had to find a provider who wasn't a doctor, a functional health practitioner, to listen to me and help me. But the point of all that was I'm not anti-medication.
Okay, awesome. And then so let's start diving into some of the root causes. So, I feel like anytime there's an autoimmune disease, your body doesn't just decide to kind of go against itself and start eating itself away, right? So like, what are some kind of triggers or common root causes that you see in your own practice that people dealing with thyroid issues might be dealing with, kind of that led them to their thyroid becoming autoimmune or having issues?
So with Hashimoto specifically, we do see a lot of mold. Isabella Wentz is the thyroid pharmacist. She's awesome. She has some great research on mold specifically, but mold can cause sinus infections, which can be a trigger, cause inflammation, systemic inflammation, chronic inflammation, and cause the body to get confused, right? I don't think that autoimmunity this is going to sound weird because autoimmunity, it's horrible, but everything happens for a reason. And I believe like symptoms are signals from your body. So if we have to listen to them, and you can put Hashimoto's into remission. I can't say cure it, because if you fall off a certain lifestyle, if you fall off a certain diet, your antibodies could go up again. But there's so many people who have put their Hashimoto's into remission and live a normal life. But yeah, mold is huge. Any type of infections, H. pylori, gut infections, candida, dysbiosis, poor liver health, like sluggish liver, like I said. Gluten is huge. I am not a fan of gluten. No, like if I meet you, I will convince you not to eat gluten, even if you don't.
I'm celiac. It's my biggest nemesis. So
Well, I'm not celiac. That's actually very common for Hashimoto's to also have celiac. but it's just so inflammatory, and it's different. Like we're not eating the grains and the gluten that our great 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 grandfathers ate, right? We're eating cross hybridized. It's more inflammatory. There's more gluten proteins in it. Um, and stress. I mean, how stressful has it been for everyone the last, 5 to 10 years? Stress, adrenal dysfunction, that plays a huge role. Really just, there's so many root causes, but those are just anything that causes your body to go out of balance can lead you to develop Hashimoto's or
Mhm.
hypothyroidism.
And I think it's kind of like a slow build up too, right? You like maybe start with some stress or you're eating gluten. Like for me, that was kind of what happened is like I was living in mold. I was a vegetarian at the time. I was eating, instead of eating meat, I was just eating more gluten, not
Yeah,
knowing that I was probably sensitive to it. And then I ended up getting Lyme disease, unfortunately. And that's what kind of just triggered everything to just
everything.
spill over. It's like, that's when I had to go gluten free. My first diagnosis before I knew I had Lyme was celiac disease, and then it was Hashimoto's, and then it was alopecia, and this long list of, autoimmune conditions that just started kind of turning on out of nowhere. And it wasn't until I kind of really dug deep and got into addressing the Lyme, addressing the mold, doing a heavy metal detox and all these things that I really started to be able to kind of heal from a lot of these conditions. So, obviously I'm still 100% gluten free and still extremely sensitive to it, but it's like, that's probably just going to be something I'm going to have to manage and deal with and avoid
For the
gluten
rest of your
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything, I think your story is so inspiring because you're on the other side. And I think that, well, I know, like I haven't been I got or I had postpartum hypothyroid, but that was last year after my miscarriage, and I've been in this space for so many years, so I knew exactly how to handle it. My original diagnosis before I got into functional medicine was PCOS, and it was daunting. Like any type of diagnosis you get, it's really scary. And if you don't know your root cause, it can be really scary. But you're the perfect example of someone who you addressed. It wasn't just one thing. You didn't just get rid of gluten. Like you addressed all these things, which yes, it can be overwhelming, but you had someone helping you and guiding you and giving you a protocol, right, to follow. And it can be just such a beautiful healing story
Yeah.
on the other side.
It definitely took time, but I'm definitely glad to be on the other side. But yeah, I mean, even with me, it took about 2 years to finally figure out that I even had Lyme disease, So it was like, in the meantime, all this kind of destruction was happening in my body from that and all the other cascades of things. So, it's always like, I think people have to kind of hit rock bottom sometimes before they really spend time getting answers for things or kind of get to that point. But, there's a lot of people that I think start having symptoms earlier. They're just not paying attention to it. So if people
Yeah.
want to kind of keep an eye on their bodies or like, hey, I'm starting to have some symptoms, what are some key kind of early sign symptoms that there might be something going on with your thyroid or there might be some kind of, dysfunction going on in the body that people can maybe pay attention to those symptoms a little bit earlier and not go through more years of damage before finally figuring it out.
Yeah. Fatigue is number one. And I think it's something we normalize, especially like I'm a mom. I have so many mom friends. They're just like, oh, I'm on my fifth cup of coffee. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
frying your adrenals.
Yeah.
Stop. So fatigue is huge. Digestion issues. I mean, our thyroid is our master of our metabolism. So if anything slows down, I think thyroid. So that, constipation, if your bowels are slowing, if you just feel like heavy after meals, like that's your digestion slowing down. And it doesn't always have to be related to thyroid, but it could be. The cold intolerance is huge. I know it's so weird with social media now. It's like become trendy to be ill. Like, there was this trend like hot girls have IBS or like hot girls are cold. Like, no, you're not eating enough, like, so really listen, like, and, I love humor. I think it's amazing. I'm like, when I'm in a hard situation in my life, I use humor and it's great to use humor, but do not ignore these symptoms. Like your body is crying for help. And if you wait too long, like you could, I mean, I think everything is reversible to a certain extent, but you don't want to go too far down, like 10 years of debilitating fatigue before you ask for help. Um, Anything with hair, like, brittle hair falling out, sleep disturbances, and period problems. So, a lot of women have hypothyroid unknowingly and they have irregular periods or skipping their periods, they have
Mhm.
fertility issues. So those are all huge to look out for.
Okay. Yeah, those are good early signs, and hopefully finding the right practitioner that will do the right testing is definitely like a good next step if you are experiencing any sorts of those symptoms as well.
Yeah.
And
And I would, sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I would say even functional medicine, it's not cheap, right? I think it's incredible. I love it. I'm a huge proponent for it. But there's a lot you can do if you can't afford functional medicine. Number one, get rid of gluten, right? Get rid of gluten and eat whole foods. I think it's so easy to just eat processed foods these days because they're everywhere, but just prioritize eating whole, real foods, buy organic if you can. If that's not an option for you, that's okay. Just eat real food and just limit your exposure to toxins. There's so much research on toxin exposure triggering Hashimoto's, whether it be like phthalates or PCBs, flame retardants that's in like mattresses. So just do one thing at a time. Pick one. Like this month, okay, you're focusing on nutrition. That's step one. I
Yeah,
mean, food is the foundation of health.
absolutely.
We can't do anything without eating. So
Yeah.
just master that and then the next month move on. And if you're doing all the right things and you have the means, then definitely reach out to a functional medicine provider because we're going to help you get where you want to go way faster.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. You answered the question I was going to ask you. I was going to
Oh,
dive into nutrition and kind of like, what are foods that you shouldn't be eating when you have Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, like that you should, the definite avoid list. And then
mhm.
what are foods that are, more nourishing for your body? Like what kind of diets do you recommend?
So if you have Hashimoto's, we'll usually recommend some type of autoimmune paleo, which is very restrictive. So it's a therapeutic diet. So therapeutic diets are for temporary, right? Maybe 90 days, then reintroduce. But we like everyone, whether you have hypothyroid or Hashimoto's or just if you want to be healthy, eat real foods. So we're huge proponents of animal protein. It's very healing. We prefer grass fed. There's so many nutrients that are needed for iodine functioning in red meat and organ meats as well. We need iron. So iron's really important for your thyroid, and then vitamin A. So retinol is really important, and that's found in beef and beef liver as well. Beef liver sounds gross, but it's actually really good with iron.
I'm still trying to wrap my taste buds around that one. My husband's really good at it. He's so good at eating it all the time. So I do the
The
desiccated liver
capsules.
pills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
those
about
are
the only
great.
way I can get it in. But I do feel a big difference. Like when it's interesting you mentioned the autoimmune paleo diet because that's actually kind of when I started having all these autoimmune conditions, especially like the first diagnosis of celiac disease. It was like, oh, I just need to switch all my stuff out and eat gluten free, and I'm going to feel better. And that was not the case at all. I had like always kind of spacey, tired, still sluggish. And I was like, why don't I feel better? I thought I was supposed to feel so much better. And it wasn't until I kind of shifted and went into the autoimmune paleo diet that my life changed. I was just like, wow, I have so much energy. Like I feel better. I don't feel bloated after I eat. And like, kind of just gave me like this new feedback system as I started adding foods back in, right? You're just like, oh, like that made me spacey when I eat that, or like, oh, I feel tired, or oh, my joints hurt more when I eat that. So it really kind of taught me what foods work for my body and what foods don't. And, after coming off of being a vegetarian for 10 years, like a bad vegetarian, like just eating kind of processed vegetarian foods to
Yeah.
replace meats and like really kind of shifting to eating like meats and like trying to get organ supplements in and eating like whole foods, just couldn't believe what a huge difference it was. And now I'm like, what was I doing in my 20s? Why was I eating that way and like never feeling good? And you mentioned like drinking 5 cups of coffee a day just to get going. Like that was me. I was like, I would drink like 5 shots of espresso from Starbucks, which is the moldiest coffee you can drink, and like living in mold in grad school. And I'm like, why am I always tired? Why do I always have to drink so much caffeine? And, I was just like eating gluten. And for me, when I eat gluten, I don't get any digestive issues. It's all neuro. So I get so
Yeah.
tired, such bad brain fog. And I was just always struggling with that in my 20s. And now it's like, I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning. I eat really nutrient dense and like I feel so much better. So it's just crazy how much of a difference food can make. And I think it's so easy for people when they're sick or in a healing journey or, have Lyme or have Hashimoto's. It's like you blame everything on the condition you have, but so much of it is what you're putting in your body as well, that it makes such a big difference. And I think people really need to, like you said, that should be like the first step that you address.
Yeah, and it's honestly it's confusing. I was vegan for a little bit. I launched a program with my friend called Plant Powered. So I get it. And, I think I always tell clients, I don't work directly with clients anymore. I have a team and
Mhm.
but when I was working directly with clients, I would always say, what would your ancestors do? Obviously, we're not hunter gatherers
Right.
anymore, but like, would your great 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 grandfather be eating, I don't know, whatever you're eating for like cereal for breakfast? No, that's not real food. So just really trying to focus on like nourishment, vitamins, minerals are super important. I obviously love animal protein, but I believe vegetables are super important as well. Fruits as well, berries are full of antioxidants. So just really a balanced diet. And then what's really important for just overall health is blood sugar balance. Um, so I would say we talked about like the what eat, so like whole foods, nourishing foods, bone broth, that kind of stuff. Don't eat, we'll try not to eat processed foods and then processed sugar. I mean, sugar, there is so much research on how horrible sugar is for us, not just for hypothyroid or Hashimoto's, but insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's. There's research that Alzheimer's is now, it's being called type 3 diabetes. So it's so profound. And I'm not talking about like sugar from the earth. Like
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was like, let's clarify that because I was like, we don't want to demonize, like you said, like fruits are good for you, or like
fruits
a
are
little bit of
great.
honey and things like that,
Right.
like are all really good for you. Like this is like the high amounts of
Talking about
sugar
like
in processed food.
Skittles. Yeah.
Yes, or like a can of Coke that has like this much sugar in it in one
Yeah.
serving, right?
Or Starbucks, like triple frappa,
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, like dates, I love dates. I love honey. I love maple syrup. I think a little sweet, like I actually really do like dessert. I think, if you restrict anything too much, then it becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
So balance is key, but you cannot have a balance of Skittles. Like there's no
Mm-mm.
balance.
Mm-mm.
So I am what we do at Ritter Functional Health is educate. So I have a course everyone goes through and I just educate, like, this is what this is doing to your body. And then they can take that information and run with it however they want. People who run with it, their A1C gets better, their insulin gets better, their fasting glucose gets better, their antibodies go down, and people who don't run with it, they continue to have health issues. So definitely stay far away from processed sugar if you have Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think people realize like how much sugar you're eating in a day when you're eating some of those foods, and it really adds up and really does just tank a lot of your systems, right? And your body,
Mhm.
your brain, your blood sugar, your adrenals, all of it in general. And you might feel a little kick of energy when you first consume it, but you're in for
Crash.
a deeper crash than you were before you ate that.
And like that's something I also think we have to go through to make a change. Like that is what I was going through in my 20s. I didn't eat breakfast, which everyone, if you're a woman premenopausal, you should be eating breakfast with protein in it. I didn't eat breakfast. I drank coffee on an empty stomach. And then I ate so much gluten. Like I was just
It's like we
living.
had our same 20s. Like I was doing the same thing, but you think you're being healthy, right? Like, or I would
Oh,
drink one of those like naked juice smoothies and
yes.
there's so much sugar in those. And I used to gain so much weight and I was like, why am I gaining weight? I'm being so healthy drinking this like fruit smoothie. And I was like, and I felt like it took me like a week or two. I was just like putting on pounds like so fast. I was like, I think it's the smoothies. I like cut them out and went back to just like having some eggs for breakfast. I was like dropped all the weight and I was like, that was crazy. I thought I was being healthy. But like, you get tricked, I think, when you're younger and you see these trends and you think it's healthy. And I think back in the day, like when I was in my 20s, which is a while ago, I'm not going to totally age myself, but it's been a minute. It was like so trendy to be vegetarian and
Yeah.
do like the juice fast and like do the lemonade diet. Like I did that so many times. Like
Mhm.
looking back, I'm like, whoa. Like today I went to the gym and I didn't have time to eat breakfast because I got up a little late. I had a client call and I like did a fasted workout and I was like, oh my God, I
That
feel
was horrible.
terrible. Like it was awful. I was like, I can never do that again. Like
Uh-huh.
I was just like, I have to have breakfast. And yeah, I used to be not be a big breakfast girl.
Well, it's interesting because when I was younger, I did like the juice cleanses too. I did intermittent fasting and I thought I was cleansing my liver, but your liver needs protein. So in phase 2 liver detoxification, it requires amino acids that you get from
Um,
protein. So I don't know what I was doing. I was like I mean, it was a lot of sugar. So just like,
Yeah.
and I'm not anti, like, I think things can be used, like there's a right way to do intermittent fasting. I'm not a huge proponent of it, but there is research around it can be helpful for some things, especially metabolic disorders. Juice sometimes can be used, but not the way I was doing it,
No.
like fasting and
No,
20
doing those
grams of
juice
sugar.
cleanses is just like, oof. I
Yeah,
was like, at least we know better, right? It's
yeah,
like, at least we didn't go our whole lives not knowing that that wasn't good for us.
I
So
know. You're
hopefully it's like our kind of role in the world now to kind of help educate people and
smart.
show them the light and maybe shave off a few years of, pain and suffering from doing the juice cleanses, which are not fun, by the way.
No,
They're like awful.
they're
You feel
horrible.
terrible on them.
Did you ever do intermittent fasting?
I did. My body is not like that either.
Mine didn't either. And I should, like, I would throw up. Like, I actually, this is embarrassing to admit, but I did this program called Isogenics, and they had like this, like fast, but you could eat chocolate on it. And I was
Oh
like,
my
that
God.
sounds good. And I would get so sick. I would get lightheaded,
Wow.
dizzy once
Yeah.
I threw up. And of course, like the coaches are like, just stick through it. And I'm like, no, this is
Yeah.
horrible.
No, I know I did a juice fast once in my 20s too. I think I went like 5 days and I was like, I'm gonna faint. Like day 4 or 5, I was like shaky, lightheaded, fainted. I'm like, how is this good for me? Like, how can this be good? And I did the lemonade diet more than I want to admit, which is like terrible too. Like drinking
I don't even know what
lemon.
it is.
It's
It's just,
lemon juice, maple syrup, and like that's all you drink for
okay.
like a few days. I think there's like something else you can put in it or like cayenne pepper or something. And like, it's insane. Like,
Okay. I
there's no
won't.
reason to be doing that. I'm glad that one's kind of like disappeared because I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed to even admit that I did that more than once.
I mean, that's why I love podcasts, because you can learn so much. Like, these things aren't taught in school. I was talking to my mom, like, as we're going through some fertility stuff, and I really want a girl, but I'm like, there's such a burden to have a girl because there's so much that I wasn't taught in school. And then my mom, she's not a nutritionist. She's a therapist. So like, she taught me so much in terms of mental health, but like, they didn't, like, when you don't know, you don't know. And it's not your fault. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel this incredible burden of like wanting a girl so bad, but then being like, oh my gosh, the things you have to go through, like the hormones, all that stuff. And I love podcasts because it gives, I mean, you could learn anything, you just have to have a phone. And it's just incredible that you're out here doing this. And
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you too. The master cleanse. That's what it was. It wasn't the lemonade diet. It was the master cleanse.
master class, I never
But
heard
it
that.
was basically like the lemonade diet. But yeah,
Yeah.
check it out. You're going to
I'm
die.
gonna check it out.
Don't do it. Just read it. So I want to shift gears a little bit. So I want to talk a little bit about your practice. So you mentioned you have a team of people that you work with. So what does that look like if someone wants to come to you and kind of dive into why they might be having hypothyroid issues or Hashimoto's symptoms? Like, what does that look like? Do you do testing with them, or how do you kind of kick off and start?
Yeah, so it's a 6-month program we have right now. It's called the Balanced Thyroid Solution. We just changed the name. And I have 2 practitioners on my team currently, that we're hiring a third as we're growing. Our lead practitioner, she's getting her doctorate in clinical nutrition. She has her master's, and she trained under this brilliant functional medicine practitioner. Just so smart. I think I'm really smart, and she blows me away. She's brilliant. And then we also have she's an FDNP. Her name's Becky. And she's trauma informed and helps with nervous system regulation. She's incredible as well. And they're the best team. And I believe you have to do clinical stuff. You have to run functional labs. We run the organic acid, GI map, hair tissue mineral analysis. We can run whatever. We start with those blood work, and then we may run the Dutch or cortisol. So I believe that's so important. In order for us to put together a protocol, you have to run those labs. But if you don't address the stress, the nervous system regulation, the trauma, and if you don't it's kind of weird to say like called out on them, because we have these patterns. We don't realize them. We self-sabotage, and we don't understand why, and we don't even know where we're doing it. You have to have someone holding you accountable and kind of being your cheerleader while you're doing that other piece. Otherwise, your supplements won't work. Like, your diet and supplement diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation, those are like the 5 pillars. Those are really, really important, but they all work together, and stress is a huge, huge part of it. So that's our team. And we also do breath work. So we have monthly breath work. We have a course. I'm huge on education. I think education is power, and it's not to scare you. I get so excited about educating, but I realize like some people get overwhelmed. So like take pieces of it that you can implement and then stop. So we have a course, and then they get messaging access as well. But I mean, I love it. It's the best program, not just because I made it, but because we've had really good feedback. We've had hundreds of success stories, and we change based off feedback. So we added the group breathwork session because people were missing community. We just added another group sessions. We have 2 group sessions per month. So it's not a group program. It's highly individualized, but you do have that community aspect because, I mean, healing can be lonely. Especially, I'm sure you know this, like, especially if your friends aren't going through a health journey. Like, I have so many friends who are like, you're so weird and annoying. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, is this gluten-free? I'm not going there. They're not. So we try to just support you in every way possible. But really it's like up to them, like that you have to want to change. So like, you know, our ideal client wants to change and is ready to change and is ready to do the work.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like a big commitment, and it's a lifestyle change. You know, it's not like someone's just going to go do a program and do what you tell them to do and be healed and then go back to their old life. Like, you really have to be ready to kind of like mourn that old life and, you know, start like a new, fresh life that you're going to feel better. You're going to be healthier. You're going to live a longer, healthier life, and kind of just really shift your mindset around that. So definitely need to be ready to make that commitment to do that for sure. And then I'd love to end with one last question. So I'd love for you to share like a top 1 or 2 stories of just kind of someone that had a huge transformation doing your program and is doing really well now, like kind of just 1 or 2 of your wow stories, if you will.
Yeah, we have so many. We if you go to our testimonials page, we have like so many on there, but one that sticks out that I love telling the story. She's a single mom, really, really dedicated and wanted to show up better for her child. She had hypothyroidism, debilitating fatigue, like couldn't do daily tasks, some gut issues, constipation, diarrhea, like bloating, just uncomfortable. She worked with us for about 7 months. She did the 6-month program and then the alumni program. She also had Hashimoto's, and her antibodies significantly decreased. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they went from super high to like below 10. And most importantly, she got her energy back. So, you know, when we don't have energy, we can't do anything. We can't work, we couldn't show up as a mom. So that's always so inspiring to me because, I mean, she was a single mom. She could have made so many excuses. The money, like changing, you know, didn't have time to cook anything, but she really wanted to live a better life and show up as a better mom. So she decided to invest in herself, and it changed her life and changed her son's life. And it's just the coolest ever. And another one is our current client, one of my favorites. I love her. I love all of our clients. We attract like amazing people. Mm-hmm. And even though I don't work directly with them anymore, I'm very involved. I still do protocol creation. I'm like, our team is, you know, we talk all day, every day on Voxer, and we always are talking and how to help people. So this one, I won't say her name, I want to, but she's adorable. She has hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. So many people have both. And she had debilitating fatigue as well, and just wasn't aware of like how toxins affect, right? Like she didn't know anything about like the mold, which no one knows. I didn't know about mold and thyroid until I went through, like I lived in mold. And she has changed her life. She has so much more energy. She has better digestion. And it's super interesting because she had a dental procedure. She actually got her mercury amalgams removed, not from a biological dentist. She reached out to us after and she was like, "Oh, I feel horrible. Should I have talked to you guys first?" And I was like, "Yes, you should have, but it's okay." We helped her detox. Mm-hmm. But I'm pointing that out because her antibodies actually shot up after that.
I bet.
But she still feels amazing. So it's interesting. Obviously, we want her antibodies to go down because that's, that's Hashimoto's. But when your body's healing and when you do all these detox protocols and when you just like find out your unique root cause, because everyone is different, you can have these life events and you can have these stressful events. Your antibodies may shoot up, but that doesn't mean your symptoms have to match your labs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing my thyroid doctor always says. He's like, your labs say one thing, but we have to really kind of go off of what you feel and like what symptoms you're experiencing so that we can tackle what your body's kind of signaling is not working. So I think it's so important to leave listeners with that tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. This has been amazing. It's going to be so helpful for people listening out there. If people want to find you online or work with you, how can they get a hold of you?
So my Instagram is Nicole Ritter Health. Our website is Ritter Functional Health, and we are giving your listeners a discount, which we never do. So that's very special. Thank you for having me. I feel like I could talk like another 2 hours about
I know,
thyroid.
we should almost do a part 2.
We barely scratched the surface, but I hope it was good.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll link to everything in the show notes as well so people can reach out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.